You have just heard the 62nd Armored Field Artillery Battalion's regimental call, chow call, and on the double. This is exactly the same bugle calls the Saturday night dinner banquet in Shreveport, Louisiana, September the 19th, 1987. This is Jerry W. Eades from B Battery of the 62nd Armored Field Artillery Battalion, and I live in Arlington, Texas. It was asked of me one time by Colonel Raymond C. Mean as Hell Condor what the little call was played at the head of each bugle call by the tank destroyer battalion that was camped in the next section, 10th section, to the 62nd Field Artillery Battalion at Camp Young, California, which was the tank destroyer. I'm not sure of the number, but I believe it was the 773rd Tank Destroyer Battalion. It was the regimental call, and the words sounded like "there's something about a soldier," and Colonel Condor wanted to know what that was. Where in reply, I told him that it was the regimental call of the 773rd Tank Destroyer Battalion. And each unit in the Army from 1900, I know, up to 1942 had a regimental call, and they were sounded when more than one unit was camped together, so that this particular regiment would know that the call was only going for them. Well, anyway, Colonel Condor asked if the 62nd had one, and if not, that I should get busy and write one. I was not the official bugler or chief bugler of the 62nd at that time. I had come out of the 1st Cavalry Division Artillery Band, Drum, and Bugle Corps, and I was assigned to, on temporary duty or detached service, to the musical unit from Headquarters Battery of the 61st Field Artillery, my home unit. I transferred into the 62nd on April the 10th, 1942, the day that the 62nd was leaving Fort Bliss to go to Camp Young, California. Colonel Condor had known me as a bugler in the 61st and the 1st Cavalry Division Artillery Drum and Bugle Corps. Since the Drum and Bugle Corps and Band barracks were dead center, these are the two barracks dead center of the 62nd Field Artillery Battalion's barrack unit, the barrack area. And at this time I became well acquainted with a number of the 62nd men, and in particularly B Battery, which I ate in their mess hall and shot dice with the B Battery men, played poker, and went to town and with and so forth. So I knew the B Battery people pretty well, and that was the reason that I asked to be transferred to B Battery when I come to the 62nd. Now, as I say, Colonel Condor told me that he wanted a regimental call and wanted me to take all the buglers that were left in the 62nd and take them out, and we were starting the Bugle Corps back up, and I was the chief bugler, and I would teach them to bugle and to sound the 62nd regimental call. Well, for those of you who were at Camp Young, if you remember, between Highway 66 and the 62nd area was about a half a mile road of pure dust. The dust, I'd say, was about 6 to 8 inches deep. The half tracks and trucks and jeeps and what have you had ground the dirt up to where it was just powdered dust. About halfway up to the highway was a clump of willow trees, and this is where we were designated to go to practice the bugles. Well, we were down there practicing one day, and Colonel Condor come by with a short convoy of the 62nd. I don't remember if it was one gun battery or just maybe a few vehicles, but coming down this road, they churned up a tremendous amount of dust. And as Colonel Condor come by, he pulled his Jeep off and come over and asked if I had written or completed the 62nd Regimental Call, which I had. And it was a simple 7-note, key of G and F, bugle notes. And I sounded it for him, and he was standing there pondering it, and one of the boys from C Battery spoke up and said, we could put some words to that real easy. We could call it the Dusty 62nd. And Colonel Condor looked at me and looked at him, and he said, no, we don't want to, that's too nice a name. Nobody wouldn't remember it. He said, we'll call it the Dirty 62nd. And from that day forward, the regimental call, or the words that the buglers put to it, was the Dirty 62nd. And if you listen real close, you will hear a great similarity to the notes and sound in the words, the Dirty 62nd. That, my friends, is how the Dirty 62nd become known, at least in Campion, California. Now, unfortunately, only about a few weeks later, the 62nd, the Dirty 62nd, received orders to ship out, and the bugles were turned in, and from that day forward that we left Campion, bugles were never used in the 62nd again. I was restored to duty in B Battery as a battery. At that particular time I was anti-tank section sergeant, and then I went on to continue duties in B Battery as a battery member instead of a bugler. So that is how the words and the bugle call, the regimental call for the 62nd Armored Field Artillery Battalion came about, and how the words, the Dirty 62nd, was attached to it. Now, since you were so nice to request this little piece of information, I would also like to tell you that one of my hobbies is collecting military band music from all over the world. British music, band music, British and German band music is two of my favorites, because being of Scotch, English, Dutch, German ancestry, I kind of like the bagpipes and the heavy brass and percussion parts of the band, so I'm going to put on a few of my favorites to finish filling out this tape. Thank you. And now for the closer, I'm going to play a recorded song, a recording and dedicate it to my good friends for hosting such a beautiful reunion in the great state of Louisiana. Bugle calls and some drum and bugle marches that sound exactly the way that we used to play them, starting reveille on Nursery Road, down to Sheridan Road, and down behind the artillery barracks on Artillery Road, and back down to Nursery Road. The way we used to play it, the way these sound is exactly the way they sounded when we played them in 1941 and 42 down at Fort Bliss, Texas. tunes and songs. They started out with some bugle marches, bugle and drum marches. General Dooley and the Old Guard, the American flag, the Cavalier, 068. Got 3 years to do this in. Hens and chickens, so slum today. And Holard, you're in the Army now. Spanish Guard mount, the Red Hussar, and then rendering honors, ruffles and flourishes, General's March to the color, and Funeral March. And following that was, which was always the custom